you don't have to agree with me on this. Do your research and you'll study this and you can see the truth for yourself. I'm just trying to speak the truth. That's it. So that's what today's episode's about. It's about the truth. And the truth is there's a war on free speech.
Welcome to the Bullseye Hustle Show. Learn how to make more money, create more momentum, and discover more meaning in life while hitting your goals every time with better accuracy and precision. Now, here's your host, Damian Martinez.
What's up, everyone? It's Damian, and this is the Bullseye Hustle Show. Today's episode is going to be really interesting. We're going to be covering, as the headline says, and I got my computer here, so I can show you things line by line, subject by subject, but we're going to be talking about people leaving Facebook, new money, and the free speech war. And so in these next 15 to 20 minutes or so, we're going to be diving into what's happening with social media, what's happening with money in the world in some specific industries and verticals. And then the deeper meaning of today's episode is the war on free speech and what's going on and why this is such a big deal for where we're at right now as a society. So with that being said, if you check out the links for all the articles that I'm going to be referencing to is going to be below the YouTube video. So if you're hearing this on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or any other platform, you can go to the YouTube channel and check it out there, or you can go to bullseyehustleshow.com or bullseyehustle.com, go to episodes, and then you can see all the links that are there. Okay. So with that being said, recently, I'm not sure if you all saw this, but I want to highlight this. Last week, Facebook came out with their fourth quarter earnings, and it showed that people are leaving Facebook by the masses. Like, it's crazy. If you see this graphic here below, Facebook had its biggest ever stock market loss in the history of not just the United States, but they made history by being the only company to lose almost 25% market value, which based on the BBC, as you see in this article here, and I'm going to read some of it right here. The BBC said that Facebook's owner Meta Platforms saw its stock market value slump by more than $230 billion on Thursday in a record daily loss for a U.S. firm. So it says its shares fell 26.4%. So think about that. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, but they lost a quarter of their entire net worth and earnings in one day. Not in a matter of a few months, not in a matter of 6 months, in one day. And so my question is, why, right? Why are people leaving? Why are people jumping on other social media platforms? And you might be watching this and you might be like, Damian, I don't really do social media. This isn't as relevant to me. I beg to differ because we're all on the internet. And so when we get to the third segment of this show, when we talk about the war on free speech, you'll notice listen, I don't care if you're conservative or you're a liberal. I care about basic human rights, and we all should have our amendments upheld where it's all about the freedom to speak, right? Now, listen, people are going to send misinformation. People are going to talk about things that might not totally make sense, or people, it's free speech. It's just let people share what they're going to share. There's comedians. There's so many sectors of life where people have free speech. But I'm telling you right now, this war on free speech, this is just the beginning of seeing how we, the people, you as the audience, as the viewer, you're starting to see you have more control over these big tech companies than you realize. Because people are finally seeing that if we're going to be censored as a society because of base of our opinions or our values, then guess what? I don't want to be a part of that platform or that company or anything. I want to make sure if I have something to say, I'm going to say it. All right? That's what matters in this. And Facebook lost 26.4% market share in one day. Mind-boggling, but it's not, because Facebook deserves this and a lot more, because they were the biggest fish in the pond in social media for years, for over a decade. I was in college when Facebook started, 2004. I was a freshman in college. I remember it was just for universities. I was like, this is great. Jump off of MySpace. Shout out to Tom, everyone's friend. And all of a sudden, they just started blowing up. Facebook was, you had to have a .edu in order to use it and all this other stuff. So it was cool, it was hip. And it was hip and it was good for a long time until recent events over the last 2 years not to get political, but from the elections to suppressing information and so many other things that have been going on with the world at large, people are starting to wake up and realize that these big tech companies are suppressing information that shouldn't be suppressed. So guess what? You don't have to agree with me on this. Do your research and you'll study this and you can see the truth for yourself. I'm just trying to speak the truth. That's it. So that's what today's episode's about. It's about the truth. And the truth is there's a war on free speech. That's the underlying meaning of all this. But I want to highlight areas of society and life, right? Because this does affect all of us, whether you're big on social media or not. We're all using the internet. We all do things with apps, right? Your privacy, so many other things, but I don't want to get into too many rabbit holes. Let's stick to the script on this, all right? And so, as you see on this image that I had pulled up, Forbes said this, that TikTok is so big a competitor already and also continues to grow at quite a fast rate. And they were quoting Mark Zuckerberg on that because he knows his lunch is getting eaten by somebody else when he thought, hey, I'll just buy people out. I bought Instagram out. I bought WhatsApp out. Let me go ahead and try and buy everyone else out. They try to buy Snapchat out. Snapchat says, not so much. Try to buy him out for, I forgot if it was a few billion, not much at all, right? In the grand scheme of things with companies of that size. Now Snapchat is valued at over 70 billion. And those founders knew what they were doing. And so, when it comes to understanding, I love this part about, this whole podcast is all about money, momentum, and meaning. That's what I'm focusing on. So I see a company like Snapchat who had a huge offer at the beginning in the early days to get bought out by this conglomerate of a company called Facebook for a few billion, a handful, right? And obviously if I was a founder of Snapchat, that's very tempting. But to understand the founders of Snapchat, their mindset, and the meaning of what they created and what they were going to do in the world to help society move forward, advance, enjoy, apps with entertainment and all these crazy filters that they do, seeing the long-term vision, they held to that meaning and kept the momentum going inside of their culture, inside Snapchat. And not even a few years later, now they're worth over 70 billion, right? That's the beauty about understanding meaning in a business or in life or in relationships or whatever. Understanding how as you find your meaning, it builds that personal momentum. And as that momentum builds, guess what? When it's specifically in entrepreneurship or if you're a business professional, it helps you create more opportunities to make money, right? Because all money does, or one thing I should say money does, is helps you afford opportunities that you normally could not afford, right? Experience the leisures and the experiences of life that usually couldn't because you were limited by your income. So when you have more meaning, creates that momentum, and guess what? It helps you make more money. I've seen that in my life. I've seen that in lots of other people's lives. I've seen that in business mentors' life, spiritual mentors' life. I've seen that in just a lot of people. Success leaves clues. And so remember that we, the people, these companies do not control us. We control them. They have our data. And it's up to us whether we continue to support companies that suppress our free speech or not. And I went in a little bit of a different direction in this episode, but that's just the bottom line of what happened with Facebook. Like, there's just no other way around that. Why did they lose 500, I think it was 500,000 subscribers or users, just recently? Now they're on a downtrend. They were up for almost 18 years. Now they're starting to decline. Starting to see we have the power, all right? That being said, when you start seeing these opportunities come around, you also start to see how there's what I call a blue ocean strategy. And so there's a book called Blue Ocean Strategy, which, by the way, sponsorship ad here. But if you click on the link below, if you're not on Audible, you want to go ahead and check this book out. It's a great book. It talks about how you can find opportunities in a sea of just, there's so many companies out there that try to go after each other's lunch, right? They try to devour each other. They try to compete with one another, but there's also a way you can just set yourself apart, hence called Blue Ocean. So if you click on the link below and you don't have an Audible account, you can get this book on Audible for free today. And so as we move into money trends, I'm big in cryptocurrency. NFTs, the whole space, and I'm a daily learner of this. I've invested a lot of time, put a lot of my resources into it because I just see how this is the future. I'm gonna do future episodes in the next coming weeks about cryptocurrency and NFTs in specific because I just feel that people need to be educated in this space because this is the future. It's kind of like how people said back in the late 90s, who's gonna use the internet when I can just go to Yellow Pages and find someone's information? 25 years later, we don't even have Yellow Pages as a book. I mean, they don't deliver Yellow Pages books like they used to. You know what I'm saying? That's where people are at right now in society with cryptocurrencies, NFTs, and that space that's literally decentralizing the power behind, banks and other main companies that used to have all this control. Now it's DeFi, it's decentralized. And so if you see this article posted up by Bitcoin Key, it basically said how, and if for those of you who don't know, I know if you're new to this, you're probably wondering like, what's an NFT? An NFT simply stands for non-fungible token. It's a digital asset, right? That represents something, right? Whether it's a piece of art, right? People think like people are just trading JPEGs and art right now. That's not really the case, even though it partly is, but NFTs are way bigger than just that. And so like I said, if you don't know what that is, if you just do, use your free Google search, go there, type in what is an NFT, learn a little bit about that. Literally in less than like 20 to 30 minutes, you'll start having a basic concept, okay? Because it is new technology. So, for those of you who don't take the time to study it out, you might be like, well, what's that got to do with me? Why am I going to use that in the future? How's that apply to my life? Like, what is all this? All I want to show you in this part of the episode is how there's new trends of making money happening worldwide right now. And it's happening but underneath so many people's noses. And I want you to just literally just look down and see like this is an opportunity you could take advantage of if you so choose and if you take the time to study this industry out. So the NFT market, based on this article here, says grew over 200 times to over 20 billion in 2021. OpenSea made up 60% market share. So OpenSea.io is simply a marketplace. It's like the eBay or Amazon. It's just a marketplace where people come in and post their NFTs, right? Their digital art, and they trade and they sell to each other. They make bids, etc. The reason I'm just highlighting this in this episode right now is the NFT space in 2021 had a total of about $20 billion in sales in the entire year. In January of 2022, in just 1 month, it had over $5 billion of trading volume in the first month of 2022. So in 1 month, what happened in all of 2021, 25% of that happened in just 1 month in 2022. So that just goes to show this year, the growth of NFTs in buying, selling, trading is going to explode. And this is not a rich man's game. This is everyone's game. You don't have to have $250,000 to buy a CryptoPunk to get into this game. And if you don't know what that is, just use what I'm saying in this episode, research it, and you'll find that stuff. And so when we start seeing this, let me read this part of the article here. Check this out. It says this. If 2020 saw the world take notice of cryptocurrencies, 2021 has seen several crypto verticals blow up, particularly DApps and DeFi. However, if one area stole the show in 2021, then it's non-fungible tokens, NFTs, which sparked interest across the world as the vertical consistently defied odds to rise in value. And so when you see this, in my mind, like I mentor youth, like I do things, on the side and volunteer work and everything. There's 7 and 8 year olds talking about NFTs right now. That's a big deal. When you have kids starting to talk about that, the future's already here. It's just a matter of time with the rest of society to catch up to it, and also to make sure how we're going to use this in practical ways in modern day society. It's coming. We're still a little bit away from that, maybe, a year or 2, maybe 3, but it's coming. So it's great to be informed in this. And since you're watching this episode, you're trying to learn how to make more money. How about adding this as an income stream that anybody could join in and understand, right? It's kind of like getting in on the early days of selling on Amazon, selling on eBay, creating a presence. these are the type of things that if you just study it out and take the time to learn, you don't have to do all these different side hustles and different things I'm going to be talking about on the Bullseye Hustle Show. But if you take one or two and start applying them, because you might be the business professional watching this and you like your job, you just want to add another income stream or two so you can have more vacations, enjoy your life more because you love what you're doing, which is awesome. You need to add some more income streams because you just can't survive on just one nowadays. You need to add more, okay? So with that being said, that's NFTs. I'm going to be bringing on guests on the show, interviewing them and doing mini series specifically just about cryptocurrency and NFTs because of of how big of a technology that is. If I was living in the 90s, I would have been trying to get on AM, FM radio to talk about why you guys got to jump on the internet because it's going to advance the way we communicate to one another for the rest of our lives. Like literally, that would have been me. I'm in the internet age now. I'm talking to you and from the future saying, you got to jump into this. You got to study this out. This is where we're going as a society. And so with that being said, I also want to show you, that there's lots of different ways to make money, right? There's tons of different ways to make money in this world. And if you go to my website, DamienMartinez.com, I've specifically focused as an entrepreneur in the skill set of lead generation. So you might be wondering, what is lead generation? What I do as a business is I generate leads for local businesses. And so if you go to my blog, DamienMartinez.com, you start scrolling as you see here below, you're going to see all the different, I have tons of articles, how to start businesses in certain niches, what is lead generation in pool cleaning and other industries. You'll see, the different posts about the podcast and different platforms you can search it out on. But if you want to learn some more about how you can start a side hustle from home, I'm always going to focus and talk about lead generation and how you can do this for yourself. So if you want to check that out, just go to DamienMartinez.com. So when I start seeing the new money trends start to move about, and there's always new things that pop up in knowing how to make money. The reason I focus on that is because money is a big part of like all of our lives, whether we want to admit it or not. All of us have worked 40 plus hours a week to earn a paycheck, right? And most of us, for those who might be watching this show, the percentage of the audience that are entrepreneurs, you already know that you got tired of helping someone else's dream grow. That's why you went to be an entrepreneur so you can build your own dream, which is awesome. That's kudos to you. And for the business professional, there's nothing wrong with building someone else's dream because you enjoy what you do, right? And if you're neither and you're just like, I'm just like stay-at-home mom, listen, you're here to simply learn, right? Understand more about money, how to build more personal momentum, finding meaning in your life, etc. And so with that being said, the bigger theme of today's show, if you haven't noticed, I said at the beginning, the bigger theme, the reason why these things are happening in our society with people leaving Facebook, with new trends of money like NFTs, which is just the beginning of that entire industry, is because people want control back over their lives. People want control over their privacy. People want control over so many things that these big tech companies have, without us realizing, for almost 2 decades, have been stealing from us and using for their own personal advantage, right? And so there's a popular talk show by the name of the Joe Rogan Experience. And Joe Rogan, he commentates for the UFC. He started off, commentating, doing things like back in the late 90s, early 2000s, like, being the host of X Factor and, being a stand-up comedian. So he's an awesome guy. But right now he's getting attacked and this crappy cancel culture is trying to stop his show because they disagree with him on some of the stuff because they were saying he had misinformation recently about the pandemic and all these other things. And listen, whether you agree with him or not, or like his show or not, is not the case. The case that's happening right now is that there is a war on your freedom of speech. And that, my friend, is such a bigger topic to discuss because when your voice starts to get silenced, what happens? There goes your influence. There goes your authority. Your voice is important. And there's a reason why there's a movement called cancel culture to stop people from speaking their mind and speaking their voice. The main reason being is because they want to control what you think and what you say. And that's why in this episode, I wanted to focus so much on this topic for the next few minutes and why this was the underlying theme, because I'm starting to see a movement of people all across the world starting to wake up and say, I have a voice. I might not agree with your opinion, or I might agree with part of this here, but no one should be silenced because I disagree with this sector, or I disagree with that area. No, like, we're humans, right? That's the purpose of why we do things like podcasts, YouTube channels, etc. Express ourselves, right? Write music. You like country, you like hip hop, you like, R&B, whatever the case is. You have free speech. I enjoy hearing people's opinions. I enjoy listening to people who are on the complete opposite spectrum of what I believe. I enjoy that. You want to know why? Because we're human. We're not supposed to all just have the same thoughts, same ideologies. I'm not better than the next person, and they're not better than me. But understanding that this war, I call it a war. The reason why is because when someone is trying to take away your voice, your power to say something, and control how you say it, that's wrong. That's a fundamental human right that we have. Not as just an American, not just as an Australian or a Canadian, as a human. And so I want you to know in this episode, like, your voice has meaning. Your voice has power. We use our voices every day to encourage people or to break them down. We use our voices every day to lift people up or to tear them apart, right? We use our voices every day. We use our words to communicate, to smile, or to look mean, to, look at someone who just cut us off in traffic and not say anything, or have road rage. We do these things on a daily basis. We use our voice to communicate, right? We use our voice to say, I love you, to loved ones, right? Or, like I tell my dog, sit. Shout out to Fuego. But we use our voices every day. Your voice is a powerful tool, not just in communicating, but expressing your ideas, your opinions. And when someone tries to silence that, that's a big deal. That's a big deal to me, and it should be a big deal to you. So with that being said, in closing off today's episode, I want to encourage you. Use your voice for the good. If you have something negative to say, think about it. Don't say it right away. But I challenge you. As you're watching this, you see the bullseye behind me, the dartboard. Hit a bullseye today and giving someone a word of encouragement. Use your voice for positivity. Do something different that you haven't done in a while, because you're going to notice you start using your voice in the right way. It doesn't matter if you own your business. Encourage your employees. If you're a business professional, say something to your colleague. Lift their spirits up, right? Sometimes it's not even just words. It's about simply a smile, communicating, a good gesture, right? Just show kindness today. Because with this war on free speech and people trying to take away your voice, the best thing you can do is show them why your voice matters and why your voice is important. And even though the war on free speech, we're seeing the consequences of companies that try to take that away by censoring content, such as Facebook and other platforms like Twitter that are trying to take away power from the people. I want to tell you, the power is in our hands, right? So with that being said, use your voice, but I want to challenge you, use it to spread love and positivity. With that being said, this is Damien with the Bullseye Hustle Show, and I'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the show, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review. To catch all the latest from the Bullseye Hustle Show, give us a follow on Instagram and Twitter at Bullseye Hustle, and follow us on Spotify at the Bullseye Hustle Show. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.